Hello and welcome along to... What's going on the last two times, man?
Honest to God, right? We've got the world's longest intro, and then you still managed to bugger up your camera at the end of the intro. What's wrong with you? Come on. Where's the professionalism? I can't work with this.
It's taking too long, so I have to fidget.
Yes, well, welcome along to live match reaction here on the Rangers Rabble. We are live only on YouTube now for our match reactions, and you can also now join a membership now on the Rangers Rabble YouTube. So if you fancy doing that, if you fancy helping support the podcast, hit that join button. Now, we are here obviously to discuss today's 2-2 draw with Arsenal. Before we come to the actual game, Scotty, no Ryan Kent, is that a worry?
No, Ryan Kent or Joe Aribo. I don't know whether to be worried. I popped that in the group chat and no one really seems to know. Maybe he's, I don't know, picked up a niggly thing or something, or maybe there's like a £40 million bid in the offing. Who knows?
The only reason I ask here is because there was no reports of any injuries done to him or him even being rested. So the fact that he wasn't in the squad makes you think maybe you're putting two and two together and getting 14. I don't know.
Yeah, I think yeah, I don't think there's much to be said about it. I think maybe he's just, like Scotty said, maybe he's got an injury or he's just getting races. He's not in a lot of pre-season training, considering it's summer, so I think he's just more training time before he starts playing games. If he's not there for the start of the European campaign, I think that's time to worry. But at this moment in time, it's fine.
Maybe precisely at this moment while Steven Gerrard is doing his post-match interview, he's telling the world what's going on, and here we are pontificating.
I always say to you guys, well, we wait until Gerrard's done his interview, and you all go, no, let's just go, let's go on.
Really? That wasn't what you were saying approximately 3.5 minutes ago.
No, because none of you were ready, so I was starting to panic. So Kev, what did you make of the and look, I have to stress this because I've been getting messages left, right, and centre saying it's only pre-season. It doesn't matter. It's only pre-season. So with it being only pre-season, Kev, what did you make it?
I thought it was a game of two halves for Rangers. I thought the first half we weren't great at all. I thought the second half, after all the changes, we actually performed a wee bit better. So make it a 2-each draw. I thought Arsenal were really good. I thought if they took their chances, to show in the game quite comfortably, but they never. But we stuck in there. We scored 2 goals. Defensively, we didn't look great, but I'm hoping for that's just pre-season and it starts to click together.
Scotty?
To be honest, I was expecting more. I thought we looked. I don't know, game of two halves. It was a game of about 4 quarters, to be honest. There's a lot of changes and disruption, particularly in the second half, but I just thought we looked quite sloppy throughout. Gave the ball away. I thought the midfield was anonymous, but that's down to a lot of hard work by Arsenal. So I actually think we actually got a really good lesson, if anything. Pre-season or not, I think you always retain your professional standards and you want to win, work hard, cliche. And I don't think there'll be too many particularly happy with their performance, apart from the players that came on in the 60th minute. And they certainly got an opportunity or half an hour to not necessarily stamp their mark, but actually make their presence known. It works two ways because they've come on, they've brought a bit of freshness, but also Arsenal made 6 changes at the same time. Mm-hmm. So Arsenal were completely disrupted in their rhythm. So then that kind of made the game more of an open spectacle, which was probably the most entertaining and surprisingly the most entertaining because, with the no disrespect to the players came on, we won't be expecting to see the majority of them throughout the as first teamers, with the exception of maybe Itten. That's an interesting one. I think he's getting his name bandied about a bit now. 2 goals, good to see.
Well, even more so, Care, the fact that obviously Defoe's went off again with a hamstring injury, and he looked as if he'd got it just for a simple sprint. So obviously we signed him up to this new 1 year contract extension. I know he's doing a lot on the coaching side, but on the playing side, that's a massive worry, isn't it? That Defoe, I mean, fantastic player throughout his career, but he just can't be relied on now, can he?
To be honest with you, Martin, I think last season shows you how much we relied on him. We never really played a lot, so I think this season he was going to play less anyway. It's not great to get an injury, but I think signing him up to the coaching role, that's going to be probably his main objective this season, because I think with Splash and Sakala come in, hopefully Alfredo stays, you get Roof, like Scotty said, you get Atan, so he was going to be behind A4 anyway in the pecking order for a game. It's always useful to hold on the bench to come on and score a goal, because he's probably still the best finisher at the club on his day, but I think he's with the support role and nothing more. So hopefully it's not a bad injury and he comes back quite shortly. But he's going to be there to support the boys, and that's probably a good thing for the boys, because somebody that has a ability and experience training is going to be good.
More of a kind of coaching role in Scotty this year rather than a kind of playing role, because it's not his first hamstring injury, and let's be honest, it probably won't be his last.
I think that's probably fair to say. But having said that, why did he start today?
I don't know.
Because that seems like a strange one. Surely you'd be wanting to get Itten up ready as many minutes in his legs as possible. If Defoe was, say, fourth choice or down the pecking order. So that threw me a little bit. And I suppose actually from everyone else's perspective, apart from mine, perhaps we weren't taking it as seriously as Blackpool or Brighton or Real Madrid coming up. And maybe this one is just about minutes in the legs. So perspective, criticism, I'll probably try and refrain as best as I can today.
That's unlike you. If you are, of course, watching, please do hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also get your comments in, because for the first time in a long time, the comment section is very, very quiet. We've had True Blues Loyal. How you doing, Jamesy? Guys, get out and enjoy the sunshine. It's only pre-season. Kerr, I keep hearing this a lot. It's only pre-season. But, I mean, for as long as I can remember, pre-season's so important for getting shape. And look, as Derek said the other night as well, see if you go into the start of the season and you've drawn or lost most of your pre-season games, that kills momentum, does it not?
It depends, Martin. It depends on the club you're at. It depends on your manager. It depends on the player's mindset. But it doesn't help, put it that way, if you're going to getting beaten pre-season. Pre-season to me is just a fitness exercise. I think, like Scotty said, the next 3 games, probably 2 games, Brighton and Blackpool, will be the ones we need to perform well against, get up to match speed. But Real Madrid game is just a showpiece, because it's the day after Brighton. So to me, it's just a showpiece. It's just Real Madrid, so I didn't want to turn them down. But I think some of the players have actually looked okay. Some players haven't, and some of the players that haven't were first teamers last season. But I think other players have started pre-season quite well. Bassey, to me, has been quite good, and I've been one of the biggest critics. I think Middleton, I was criticising him. I thought he on the day and played really well, Glenn. I thought he kept his shape well, and I thought he got forward when he could, and he done everything asked him. So, and a few other players, I'm actually happy to see Jake Casey back. I think Jake's got a lot of talent. I think if he can develop that and he can stay at the club, he could have an input this season, because I quite like the lad.
I'm not too sure, Scotty, but I was kind of surprised to see Hasty in the squad. Obviously, he's in the squad. He got on and got some minutes. Do you see Hasty making any sort of inroads in that Rangers team this season?
Nah, he'd be in the B team if he wasn't too old. I think he's stalled and he needs to play regular football somewhere. It won't be at Rangers. I'd be very, very surprised if it was at Rangers. He's still young, so I wouldn't want to write him off for anything in his career, because there's always this thing, there's this like football manager obsession that if you're not 19, 20 and playing first team football, then you're not going to make it. It's really, really bizarre. Like, footballers can make it at different points in their career, and they hit certain levels, whether it's physicality or just professionalism, or something switches, particularly with guys, because we're all immature, and footballers are no different in that respect. So not this season. for Jake. He really, really needs something to happen for him in terms of his actual football career. But today was, as I said, perspective-wise, a run out for guys getting their legs. Really encouraging to see some of the performances as well. Scott mentioned Bassey. I thought it was brilliant. Middleton, again, I'd file him closer to Hasty than Bassey. But a special mention to Nathan Patterson. He looks class. Just every time I see him, he just looks class.
Right, listen, on that, right, I was going to leave it till a bit later on because you know how I like to go through things in order. But Scott, you brought up about 3 or 4 things there that I had written down, so thanks for that, mate. Kerr, do you know what? We'll come to the goal first, the Rangers goal. Corner from Tav, header by Balogun. I mean, how do you analyse that? It was a corner and it was a header and it was 1-0 Rangers.
It was a good delivery by Tav, and Balogun made a wee slight movement and got up well and held it, but Arsenal look quite dodgy at defending set pieces, just like we look quite dodgy with the ball in behind. So
and in front.
I think that's just a bit. Balogun, he's due those goals for 3 years, so he got away on you when the goal was. So I was a good set. It was a good delivery by Tav as usual.
I know, and Scott, the Arsenal goal.
Can we go back to our goal first? I just want to say, right, so starts with Bassey making it a 60-yard run for quite however many times in the match so far, and he gets brutally fouled. And then my main man Hadji, who by all accounts had a really, really, I want to say shocking game, but
yeah,
we'll save the criticism for another time. With his left foot, puts in quite a wonderful cross, and it forced Arsenal to put the ball behind for the corner. So actually, we had quite a good build-up in terms of nice bits of encouraging play and quality, which is important. Got to mention the quality, and obviously the ball in from Tav, which I was thinking to myself, Hadji puts in a better ball with his left foot than Tav does with his right. I mean, Tav does that, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad he didn't tweet that or anything stupid. And it was a great header. The Arsenal goal, who scored it? Tavares.
Tavares, that's it.
Oh, Tavares, Tav, from the sublime to the ridiculous. We'll let him off because it's a friendly, and it's all about getting his sharpness. We've had this argument so many times about Tav. He's capable of these defensive errors, and for last season he completely cut them out. Is it the fans there and they do something to him? I don't know. No, but I think it's a case of it's a friendly. He's trying to get his sharpness, and he is going to try these things. And it's encouraging to see the trust in his ability to want to do these things. But when you're not that sharp, sometimes they don't always come off. And obviously Tavares has just come in and nicked the ball off him, and it's a great finish. I'm not going to say Tav was unlucky because, well, no, it's a poor touch, and part of you thinks he should have just tried to hoof it away, just defensive first. But when you're wanting to be at the top level, you have to be brave on the ball, and you have to do these things and be brave. So, not going to bash him too much. It's a friendly. If he does it in the European qualifiers and something like that happens, well, he's going to get absolutely slaughtered. But for the time being, give him these.
I think actually, Kerr, Andy Little on Rangers TV said it was actually a great touch, but it was the wind.
No, it was Tom commentator that said it was an excellent touch.
No, I think it was Andy Little. But Kerr, your thoughts then? We've seen. Is it a mistake by Tav, or are the commentators right? It was the wind that took it away from him.
It's a mistake by Tav, but when he's playing against somebody in the SPL, it's probably not a goal.
Yeah.
But as soon as you play against somebody that's better quality, they're going to make that mistake. So it's just one of these things. He tried to bring it down. We all know what he tried to do. He just didn't succeed, and the boys nipped it away. But it plays against somebody in SPL, like I said, they don't nip it away from him. He recovers because he's got a lot of recovery process in SPL. But against somebody like Scott, you can't get away with that. And as Scotty says, if he does that in European games, we'll get found out.
Well, actually, that's the point, Scotty, that CGM makes better make a howler now instead of a Champions League qualifying.
Absolutely.
There you go. John Lundstrom, Kerr. I don't think Scotty was too full of praise for him in the group chat, but maybe I don't know anything, which 9 times out of 10 I don't. But I thought in the first half, I thought he was all over the park. I thought his tackles were great, his shot passing was good. I was quite impressed.
So was I, Martin. I thought he played really well. I thought he was covering the ground, like you said. I thought he came alive when we were attacking, which wasn't very often. He was coming back and defending, but he seems to come alive more when he's facing opposition's goal. And I think it'll be a great signing for us. And I think he's just played an install, but I thought he played really well. Seemed to have a good engine getting box to box. He is quite strong in the tackle and he keeps things simple, which I like. And I thought he played really well. I thought he was probably the best midfielder we had in the first half.
Scotty, I'll let you respond to my comment.
No, I'm not going to argue with anything that anyone says in respect of engine, box to box, blah blah blah. It's exactly what we wanted and what we signed. It's the problem I have is that keeps it simple. We don't need players that keep it simple. We need players that are a step above, because keeping it simple takes us back 2 years. And we've done that. We're building. So if we get a player that is box to box, and the majority of the time keeps it simple, but he's capable of the next step, which I'm sure he is, but we haven't seen it yet. So that is, I said he's one-dimensional, and it's pre-season. So I could be completely wrong. It's obviously Martin's had enough and talking shite, so he's decided that he's cancelling the pod. He's off. But yeah, I don't know. But he's playing against Arsenal, and the Arsenal midfield was tremendous. So yeah, I don't know. I was just expecting a little bit more, just a little bit more adventure. I mean, you see Kamara and the ball, even Goldson throwing in the dummies and getting away from his man at centre back. Just that little bit more. He's very much a backward, try something. If he was, I don't know. But then on the flip side, we had players like Hadji in the team who were trying something all the time and kept giving the ball away. So, you can't have it all. I'm not trying to be overcritical. I'm not saying he's shite or this or that, I don't want to be overcritical because it is still pre-season. I just would like to have seen more, and perhaps I expected more.
I understand what you're saying, Scott, but do we not need that type of player? With Jack being consistently injured, Davis getting a bit older, Kamara possibly leaving or whatever. Do we not need that type of player who just keeps it simple, breaks up the play?
We do, and we're going with reports on that we're after Joey Veerman. He's the opposite. He's supposed to be a playmaker and creates things. So they're looking for different parts for the jigsaw he's trying to complete. So, I mean, if you watch some with Sheffield United, he done the same job for them because they had players that do not the opposite. So he's not going to change his role just because he's came to Rangers. He might score a few more goals up here, but he's going to be the same player, just probably going against lesser players.
And moving into the kind of second half, Scotty, one thing we did see was young Patterson coming on at right back and Tav being moved up into midfield. Do you see Gerrard using that in the season coming, or do you think that was just keep Tav on to get him some minutes and bring Patterson on to give him some?
Bear with me here, right?
Oh, here we go.
This was going through my head at the time, and I was like watching the team and watching the shape. I could not make head nor tail of what was going on. Right? I couldn't work out the formation. I couldn't work out when Tav was playing. I couldn't work out who was in midfield and up top. It was just it was almost like a rotation like this. Now, watching the Euros, and for the most part, I didn't think the commentators really knew what they were talking about. But the one thing that they were really, really strong in what they were saying was Denmark are brilliant because they're able to change their shape midway through a match consistently. And that makes them very difficult to play against. Now, I don't know. I could be talking nonsense just because we're all over the park. But maybe we know how innovative Michael Beale is, Mick Beale. Maybe that's something he's trying to implement and influence, because having that tool in our armoury, particularly in Europe, in games where perhaps we need to transition quicker and we don't have the ball as much. It would be fantastic to home. And maybe that is something that we are potentially experimenting. And we did so for, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes? So we weren't going to try it for the whole match, but for 10, 15 minutes. And obviously at the 60-minute mark, the changes happened and we reverted to a shape that we were familiar with, I think.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what, Kerr? I couldn't make heads nor tails it when Patterson came on and they pushed Tav into midfield. But can you see Tav kind of playing that kind of midfield role? I mean, look, if we bring in Veerman, we've got Lundstrom, we've got Davis, Aribo, Kamara. I don't see the purpose of moving Tav up, but can you see it happening?
I think he might try it in some games. I mean, to be honest with you, Tab started at Newcastle, young kid who's a winger, and he get converted back to a fullback. So he's familiar with that position, playing up top, out wide. So and you can see he's more attacking fullback than he is defensively. So I think he'll be comfortable with it. But it's entirely up to Gerrard and the management team. If they think it's worth a shot and we're not going to lose by doing it, then you'll do it. But I don't know if he'll go away in big games or difficult games, because I think it's not worth the gamble. But if you want to play the two of them, I don't think Patterson's going to sit on the bench all season. One, he's too good, and two, I don't think he'll be happy with it. So he's going to have to try and do something maybe to give him game time.
Well, that is a good point, Scott, because I personally as well don't think this season that Patterson's going to spend a great deal of time on the bench. He'll spend obviously more than what Tav would. Tav will play 99% of the games, but I do feel as if Patterson will get a lot more playing time this season.
Yeah. And he looked great when he came on. So we're so lucky, aren't we? Maybe, I don't know. It's a head scratcher for sure. And thankfully, we're not the ones getting paid to make the decisions, because we're not the ones in the firing line. All we can do is sit here, pontificate and point the finger. And I'm certainly happier to be on this side of the fence than being the one who chooses whether to pick Patterson, Tav, or both. What a great luxury to have, because Patterson, every time I see him, he just looks great. And he's brave. You know, he's almost got on the score sheet from 25, 30 yards. I mean, the kid's got some balls. I tell you, he's brave, fearless, and he's got that raw talent that I just love. And you know, he doesn't need to play 50 games this season. I think that's also important. If we can get him, what is important is the quality of the game time. So there's no point in him playing 10 minutes at the end of a match for 30 times or 40 times, but he needs quality game time against quality players and quality tests. Do you know, it'd be interesting. You know, hopefully we are going to play a lot of games this season, and it would be good to keep players. I know Tav's fit and he's got an engine. It'd be good to keep Tav fit, especially for the bigger games. Whether we see some kind of rotation, particularly, you know, where if we've played away from home in Europe on the Tuesday or Wednesday, to then play Saturday with a lot of travel, perhaps that's when Patterson will come in a bit more and get that quality game time. Be interesting.
Certainly would be. Not that I wasn't listening to you there. I just got a message and I had to take it. My apologies, Scott.
Is that John giving his email address?
I think it is, yeah. But, we've got a question from Mark Graham. What's your thoughts on our performance? Are we ready? I don't know if that's a fair question, simply because it's only the third game into pre-season, but he's asked it, so I'll let you answer it.
That to me, Martin, I can hear.
Yes.
To be honest with you, I think once the players cross that line and they know they have to perform to a higher standard because the game means something, I think majority of them will be ready. I think during pre-season it's in the back of their minds as well. They don't want to have knocks. Maybe not going to 50-50s. They know what they want to do, know what they can do. So I think that coming into pre-season as well. Not every player, but some. So, but I think once we start European campaign, a league campaign, I think we'll be ready. But I mean, obviously go through a tough pre-season, so you'd have to ask Stevie G, but he probably thinks we aren't ready as at this point. But I don't think we're far away. You just have to tweak it. I think pre-season we make mistakes, which is okay with me. It's when it starts getting the serious stuff, that's when we start to criticise, like Scotty said.
Scotty, I'll take that one to you as well. Obviously, 3 games into pre-season, like I said, to care, so maybe it's harsh to judge, are we ready? But like I said, Mark's asked, so I'll put it to you as well. Are we ready?
Absolutely not. We haven't seen half the team yet, so
we're
miles away. In terms of fitness, I don't know. It looked a bit lackluster today. It looked like a pre-season friendly without really being close to being competitive. Mm-hmm. So not overly concerned. I think what the difference is, usually at this stage in pre-season, we've been at home and we've been playing perhaps bottom of League 2 teams in England, a Scottish team maybe, and giving them the runaround. And we've been winning like 4 or 5-0 and it's been quite comfortable. Whereas this time, we've played Arsenal early. We've played Tranmere away, which by all accounts, still expected to win. I mean, we could talk about that as well, like missing 3 open goals in the space of 10 seconds. I mean, that's just a freak. So I wouldn't really pay attention to these results just yet. As I said before, just a bit of perspective, and I think that it's hard to tell which game is going to be the one where we expect the sparks, but the sparks do need to come sooner rather than later for me.
I know, I find it hard to disagree with you there. Listen, obviously, Scotty, you mentioned it, 60th minute roundabout then, multiple changes made. Scott Wright came on, seemed to play more centrally. What did you make his kind of change of position? Because I personally feel he's going to have a big part to play this season.
Yeah.
Scotty.
Yeah. I love him. I love his raw talent and his energy, and there's obviously plenty to work with for the coaching staff. He came on, he made a difference because, I think I touched on it earlier when I said Arsenal made 6 changes at the same time, so it completely disrupted their flow, and they were fairly comfortable in the game. I'll probably say they were fairly comfortable throughout the game as well.
Yeah, they were.
But it completely disrupted their flow, and he gave energy and he pressed them a bit more, which was pleasing to see. But again, because we didn't really have the ball, it's really hard to tell his quality and where he fits in today. But like you said, I'm really excited about him. I think he's got all he has got skill, he has got energy, really importantly, he's got the will and the desire to succeed. So he's going to be working hard behind the scenes to fit into this Rangers team. And he's not here to make up the numbers.
No.
By no means. And he's exactly what we expected from Jake Hastie and Jordan Jones. I mean, Scott Wright does look a level above those players already, particularly from what we've seen of him last season. So I'm excited. To see his contribution to the team. I mean, for me, his tenacity, if you like, and his aggression reminds me a bit of Neil McCann. You don't really expect it when you see him. And I'll be really interested to see whether he develops that Neil McCann nasty streak as well.
I personally think he's got that in him, Keir, because I think he's one of Gerrard's favourites. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I think he's a favourite of Gerrard, and he's certainly got the confidence in a Rangers shirt as well.
He has, and he's like Scotty said, he's hungry. He wants to show what he can do, but I think in deep down himself, he wants to prove to everybody what he can do, because with Aberdeen, it was a stop-start career. He was done well a few games when he got injured, then he get back in, he get injured. So there were a lot of injury problems at Aberdeen. He's came to Rangers, he's not had any injuries in touch with, he doesn't get any, but I think having a season without any injuries, he can flourish, and he could end up being a first team starter, because it showed you today how many times he was back here on Middleton at left back, put in the tackles, even body challenges. He doesn't get pushed off the ball easy like you would expect him to. And he's strong, he's willing to run, he's willing to chase. He's just a very good player, but technically he's very good, so he can create, he can score, he can up the park, he can dribble, he can basically do a bit of everything. And for the signing we got, somebody for Aberdeen, that ability, it's a great signing. The boys get that attitude. His attitude is superb, so I think if he hopefully can prove it to the manager, and hopefully can stick around the first team along with Stephen Kelly, because he's one of my favourites, I have to say.
Well, I'll take us back to you then, Kerr. I'll come to the Rangers goal and the Arsenal goal in a minute, but when we were 2-1 up, I felt so bad for young Kelly because Middleton broke through, lovely ball across the box, and Kelly really has to score that.
He has to score it, and they put it at a place where the goalkeeper was always going to save it. He put it straight to the goal when he was diving, but I think he just seen his name in lights scoring a goal because it's Ibrox and not happened to him. So I felt sorry for him, and I was hoping he scored. But you can see since he went to the team, he looks comfortable. He doesn't like overload. He gets involved. He keeps the ball well. He slows play down when we need it. He's a bit like Stephen Davis, but a younger version. And I just hopefully he can stick out. I know Big Willie's been talking about him for years, and you can see why.
Who?
Well, Big Willie.
Right, hold on, gents. He's only 31 minutes late, but I want to welcome in Johnny. Johnny, how are you?
Johnny, come lately.
Sorry, guys. When you get a message from your company saying that BT have got a major power outage tomorrow and you need to do all your Sunday work on a Saturday, then I had to kind of watch the game and do my work. Sorry, lad.
It's not a good enough excuse, Johnny. But I'll bring the point to you. We were just discussing there, young Stephen Kelly. Lovely ball across for Glenn Middleton, and Stephen Kelly has to score, but he misses. But that shouldn't have put off for what a fantastic talent he is. And hopefully this season is going to be in that Rangers team.
Well, I thought he should have put his laces through the ball. And I thought he should have studied it rather than trying to pass it back across. Well, just put your foot through it. Just absolutely blast it, and it's in the back of the net. Couldn't believe that he missed that chance. That was the winner. That was the one. There and then if he'd have scored that. So, but no, put your laces through it. Everything behind it. Bust the net. Game over at that point, I thought. Yeah, but I used to pass from Middleton.
I know, Scotty. And look, the second Rangers goal, I don't think you can understate actually just what a good header that is. For said that, that's a fantastic header, Scotty.
It was. This is he's getting his name in amongst the goals. Yeah, brilliant to see. I'm a massive fan of him. I think he's got massive potential. Again, we've got a lot of players with raw talent that just need a combination of good coaching and game time. And he had an opportunity as well when he was marauding through, and unfortunately, he just didn't have the pace. I mean, Arsenal. When you go through the Arsenal team, it's like, they signed him for 70 million, signed him for 80 million. Blah, blah. He scored 10 goals in the Premiership. Like last season with Newcastle, he's come through the academy or Leeds or whatever, and it's just like you can't expect to just win these games. You have to put the graft in. But that was a cracking delivery by Middleton, but a really, really good solid header. Kind of, I'm I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm seeing touches of almost like a big cumbersome Dado Perso / Jelovic type striker in centre Ted. I'm not drawing a direct comparison, but there's I don't know, there's just something about him that I think will come good. It is a big season for him coming up. It's a big season for quite a few of our, I would say, fringe players that should be pushing on into the first team now because they're developing and they should be developing, and he's certainly one of them. I've got hopes from him. He scored some absolutely crucial goals for us last season. That shows that he has got the nous to score goals and crucial goals, so he's got the composure to actually finish them. You can't really teach that. And we've had some quality strikers over the years that thankfully have managed to do that for us. So yeah, well done him. Good to see him get on the score sheet. He got on the score sheet against Partick Thistle. I'd like to see him get a start. I don't know when Morelos is back, but I'd like to be seeing him as the Morelos understudy, if you like.
Point I was actually going to take to care was about Cedric. And how big a season is this for him at Rangers? Because look, if Morelos stays, you've got Morelos, you've got Roof. Is Cedric still going to be, third choice striker for Rangers this season?
I think it depends on Cedric. I think he's got all the ability put the ball away. He's a different type of player for Roofs, so he gives you a different option. He can play through middle. He's a bit stronger. Roofs not technically different. He's not strong, but he's a willing runner. Whereas Said can get up. He's a bit of a hassle for a defender. So I think last season coming in was a tough one for him. It was through a pandemic. He's away from home. He was struggling to get into a team at times, and it was just hard for all the players, but especially with somebody from another country. So I think this season, I wouldn't say it's a big season, but hopefully he does well enough to play a few games, score a few goals, and shows what he can do, because he does have the ability, like Scotty said, of being a good goal scorer.
That he does. Johnny, I'm seeing a few comments. Obviously, after we scored, kind of no long after Nketiah makes it 2-2, there's a few comments worried about the defence. I don't know how much you can read into that, considering all the changes that were made, but is there anything in pre-season that makes you worry about this Rangers defence?
I thought today we looked quite vulnerable from centre-half to right-back. I thought everything that Arsenal done and that hurt us was coming down with Tav just being slightly further caught up the park again, and everything was down the right-hand side. It was surprising with... we think maybe Bassey would be the weak link. You probably touched on it, but Bassey was certainly my man of the match in the first half anyway, by far. But it seemed to be a real slowness about the pitch. I think maybe the pitch is bedding in, being a new park, a new pitch. It seemed slow, it seemed cumbersome. We stood off Arsenal. And apart from Lundstrom, we weren't prepared to put the boot in and enjoy a tackle today. We were just kind of passive. You know, I think it was a pretty much a pre-season game. And like Rangers Twitter all the time, you know, this team won't be good enough, we won't win the league. You know, last year I think our friendlies I don't think we lost a goal in our friendlies last season. So I think maybe there's just a little bit of panic, maybe from the fans, is wetting the bed a little bit too early as usual. But no, when the real action starts, I think players will step up. But I was just a little bit concerned that everything that Arsenal hurt us today was down that centre half to right back area. It seemed to be the weak link to it. And also playing out from the back. A couple of times we were caught out. McGregor was caught out playing out from the back. And Arsenal missed two good chances. William missed one, and I think Aubameyang missed another good one where really both should have scored. But sometimes you just got to hit it long and set your team up again. But nah, I'm not concerned at this point in the season. Never am.
I know I don't want to make it too negative because we're coming towards the end of the reaction, Scotty, but just on what Johnny said there, I mean, I think you've got to remember the level of team that you're playing against, you know, and as much as Arsenal were slagged off last season for finishing, I think, what was it, 8th or something, 8th or 9th to finish in the Premier League, you know, they've got some really good players and pace. Yeah,
well, as I said, I mean, when you've got the likes of Pepe running at you at 70 million quid, spent 50 million quid on, how much they spent on Tavares? And then you've got Aubameyang up front and Thomas. Right. Their squad is just ridiculous, and they're in a completely false situation to where they should be. Yes, they have their weaknesses. We still scored 2 goals. The match finished 2-2 if you actually want to look at it objectively. But also, do we actually have to go down the route of naming the key players that we were missing today, particularly in defence? Bearing in mind, a lot of the energy we have in our team is also in the forward areas. So we always defend from the front, where you got Morelos and Kent pushing and pressing. So our defence isn't just the back four. It never has been and never will be. So to turn around and say, oh, it's a concern going into the season. Okay, it's a concern if we play like that and you've got Tav, Goldson, Helander and Barisic all with the minutes in the legs, and we seem to be a bit at sea. But for the fact that we're missing Helander and Barisic in the back four to start with, it's really hard to tell. It'd be incredibly harsh to. I mean, I've already levelled my concerns on Simpson. I've always said Balogun looks a bit dodgy, and I don't expect him to be playing as much as he did last season. Again, that might surprise me depending on what happens with injuries. Edmondson playing. Again, do we expect to see him? We haven't even seen any of Katic yet, and we expect him to go out on loan. Perhaps there is a concern that maybe we will rely on having too many minutes in Goldson and Helander. But the coaching staff will be well aware of that. And it's down to them to make sure that these guys are well rested, prepared, and able to go again and again. But that is where we are in terms of our squad, and in terms of what we can have in our squad. And sometimes we just have to accept that, sadly.
Look, I'm going to finish up now, right? And I'm going to come to each one of these just for one positive thing, either from the whole of pre-season so far or from today's game, because I always like to finish on a positive. I hate to finish on negatives. So, Kerr, give me a positive.
On the whole of pre-season?
Or today's game, just give me any positive you can.
Positive, you've seen some of the players step up. Like Bassey have criticised last season, has looked good in pre-season. Atten's got a few goals in pre-season, so that's positive for me.
One positive. You can't take all of our positives.
Oh, right, Johnny, positive.
The one positive has been nicked by Kerr, and I think Scotty agreed as well. I think Bassey, but no, hearing the fans singing in 80 minutes, hearing the noise of the fans in 80 minutes today, just after we went a goal up again, and just it was a loud volume. It was, you were sitting with goosebumps. And also a poor internet service for my supplier. but now, just listening to the fans thinking, I wish I was there. And can I just say to Curry Munch on the chat to say, well done, Albertson, going for a clean shaven look. Mine goes in ginger, lads. That's why I don't do that. So I can't grow a hipster beard like you boys. So.
Oh, don't even go there about beards. Do not even go there. Scotty, give me a positive.
As a striker myself, big said the Ted getting 2 goals. Hope he gets a few more and continues on into the season.
There you go, and that will do us very, very nicely. Right, so that will finish us up for today. Johnny, thank you for making your debut, all 5 minutes of it.
Yeah. Come on, I've done anything. Come on, give a good performance back off.
There you go. And you need to get yourself a mic as well because your audio is terrible. Scotty and Scott, again, guys, thank you very, very, very much. For all the people watching, if you fancy subscribing, do hit that subscribe button. I think we've had something crazy like 80 or 90 subscribers in the last 2 days. So just keep that going, keep subscribing. If you want to become a member, you can, of course, join. And you can follow us on Twitter at Rangers Rabble. So thank you very, very much for watching, and we shall speak to you again very, very soon.
Bye-bye.